At the height of my career, after 25 years of professional cooking, I sold everything and walked away. This is the reason why. So, I am a formerly Michelin-starred chef. I had Relay, which was awarded a Michelin star in 2012, and we were on the world's 50 best restaurants list for a number of years. I enjoyed that a lot. I had a total of 5 restaurants at one point, and all but one, honestly, were very successful. And I had up to 150 employees at once. We also, in a moment of madness, established a farm called the Farm of Ideas. So I did everything I could ever dream of. I also managed to publish a book. It's called Relay, a Book of Ideas. Came out in 2014. Until 2020, I was in full-on world takeover expansion mode. I opened a ton of restaurants, did a ton of things, many projects. Everything I put into practice just happened, and it happened mostly very successfully. I did everything that I dreamt of doing when I went into this industry. So why would I quit? Now stay with me for a moment, because it's not an easy call. There's a shift. I was in my late 30s when COVID hit, and I entered my 40s in 2022. I'm from 82. And I found that everything changed. I changed as a person. I was older. I was more mature. And I was also more tired. It's a lot of years running around. Whether you're running around for others or running around for yourself, it's hard work. I was devastated. I was really tired. And I found that everyone else changed too. The world changed, and not necessarily for the better. I think people around me were also younger. As I started, everybody would be in their 20s. I was in the end of my 20s, and over time, that gap just kept going on. And I was older and older. And as I reached my 40s, people starting cooking were in their 20s or in the beginning of the 20s. And, a manager would be 26, 25. Sous chef would be 27. A head chef would be 30. It's already there's a big generational gap. And I'm not sure that I was dealing with it at the best possible way. I was, at least, more than anything, frustrated about that change without knowing how to deal with it. I felt detached from people, and I found that it was hard to make people move my own ideas forward. I found I had a lot of good ideas. I could prove so, but I felt I had to justify them. I had to justify that, this is how I think we should do things. And that was just difficult and not as satisfying. The connection with the team was not as satisfying as it had been. It was because of age, it was my own responsibility, and people are different, and there you are, right? And being frustrating and tiresome, as it always has been, but if you don't get that little sweet feeling of doing something truly great, it becomes so hard. Sometimes boring. In reality, I really needed a new direction for my life. The thing is that in this industry, there is no real end game. For a successful chef, you have sort of 2 paths you can choose between. One is the sort of Jiro dreams of sushi. You sacrifice everything. Sacrifice becomes your default status. You are at the pass every day. You're cooking every day, and this is the old school craftsman style, which I find extremely knowledgeable. But I must say, it was not for me. A man that opens 5 restaurants in a span of 6-7 years is not the guy that will stick around there forever. So then you have the second path for the successful chef, which is most often seen among the very top, which is, you fly around the world and you open a ton of restaurants, become very commercialized, and you just really use that brand as much as you can. And I don't have anything negative to say about it. What I find is that a lot of people have a hard time coinciding that part of it and that way of being with the other part, pretending to be cooking every day. I don't see that as an option for me, because I feel really bad if I'm not 100% honest about what I do, and it's towards myself. So for me, the idea of going into a deceiving kind of lifestyle, I think it's bad. I think you are ruining yourself by doing so. I've seen chefs jump out of the kitchen as if they've been there the whole time, pretending they've been so, very well knowing that they were not there. There's no natural way for you to be able to age within the kitchen. So you have to be sacrificing a lot and everything around you that is not the cooking part and not your career for you to do it successfully. And I just don't see that as a possibility for myself. And not everybody can be famous and rich and whatever, do cooking shows and stuff like this. That's just not for everybody. So what is the common chef's perspective on a life in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s? I have a hard time seeing it unless you're amongst the 1%. So I found that to some extent, my age, my style, my ideas, my vision, I guess my approach, could no longer create the innovation that I so longed for, which motivated me to do it. At least not through restaurants, because I find that the paradox of the restaurant or the chef within the restaurant is that you're a creator, you can be an artist, you can be a craftsman, but you're so dependent on other people doing things for you at all times. It becomes extremely difficult. It becomes frustrating when then you have to tip towards disproportionate amount of time on connecting with people and making them do what you want them to do rather than creating. So my main feeling inside in wanting a change, when the opportunity arose and I could sell everything, I was offered, I can buy everything from you. You're out of here. I was like, because I've had it with managing. I want to go back to making. I want to go back to creating. I want to go back to being creative. I want to have my ideas flourish. I want to be set up where I don't have to look at people that seem to be tired just by the idea being proposed by me, not having to excite people as a pretense to succeed with everything. I want to be where I can create things, let it be on my own, right? And cooking has been my realm. It's been my craft and it's what I've done for 25 years, and I love it. But at the core, I'm a creative. At the core, I need creative outlet. And if my life in cooking becomes managing other people's emotions, what I want to do is I want to do something else than cooking. I want to start having fun with things I like to do, exploring ideas and thoughts, concepts, philosophies, building bridges between things that make no sense to other people. That is the beauty. And I managed to sell restaurants at a point where I've gotten good funds. So now I have time to explore my own creativity and to find a different path and a different story I can write about myself. Now, writing has been a big part of my life because I read a ton of books as a kid. I was a pretty lonely kid, to be honest. I read a lot and I have managed to some extent, keep up the habit a little bit, just enough over the last decades. And I so love the idea of telling a story. And I think that in cooking, you do so too. But I love the idea of writing and reflecting and thinking. And I want to expand into that a lot more. And my purpose right now is to write a book. And I am writing a book as we speak. And I want to be able to use my own experience to create a guide to a life in this industry that is philosophically dense, which is not based on an empty search for happiness. It is a real life with all its ups and downs. And I think a life in cooking can give you so much and has given me so much. And I want to protect that, and I want to reflect on that, and I want to write a book about what it means to live fully in a life in cooking. You are welcome to sign up for my newsletter. The link is down below. Or subscribe to this channel if you're interested in hearing more about what the hell is going to go on now. My new life in cooking is starting. Let's go.